So the skull in the cat is made up of, where you have the bone that covers the brain, and it's attached to the vertebral column through the first vertebrae, which is known as the atlas, and it's one of the bones that forms the cervical vertebrae. So when you look at the skull, for example, like this one here, you notice that it's made up of several bones that are fused together through a joint known as the suture joint. And on the lower part of the skull, you have two bones. This is the maxillae, which is also known as the upper jaw, and it has the teeth in that. Then you also have the mandible, which is also known as the lower jaw, and you can see the teeth attached to it. And this is very important for feeding in cats because they are carnivorous. And then you have this prominent canine, which is one of the most important tooth that they have for feeding, and this is different from what you see in humans. All right, so now let's talk about the vertebral column. The vertebral column is composed of several bones that are usually in segments. So the first one is the cervical vertebrae, and it's the one that you find around the neck. So there are 7 in number. The first one is known as the atlas, and the second one is known as the axis. So you have the 7 of them making up the cervical vertebrae, and then from the end of the cervical vertebrae towards the end of the thoracic cavity, you have what we call the thoracic vertebrae, and they are usually associated with the ribs. So you see that the ribs are usually attached to them, and they are like 13 in numbers. Then at the end of the thoracic vertebrae and towards the abdominal cavity, you have what we call the lumbar vertebrae, and they usually 7 in numbers, and this is usually absent in the torso, if you still remember. Then after that, you have what we call the sacral vertebrae, and usually located towards the pelvic area, and they are attached to the pelvic girdle, and it's usually fused together, and there are like 3 of them, so you have 3 sacral vertebrae. And after that, you have what we call the caudal vertebrae. They are usually 18 to 23 in numbers, and they make up the tail. So it depends on how long is the tail in the cat, and they are usually used for balancing. So the cat used that to balance, and these vertebrae are they are very flexibly connected, you can see, and this is because there's like a cushion that usually attach them together, and it's called the cushion disc, and it's between them, as you can see, between them here, and this allows them to be very flexible, and it contributes to their speed as runners. So the ribs in the cat are usually 13 in numbers, and as you can see, they are usually attached to the thoracic vertebrae at the top here. So there's an articulation for that. And then the ribs are divided into 3. The first 9 is known as the true ribs, and they are attached to the sternum here. So this is the sternum. So they are attached to the sternum through their costal cartilages, as you can see it extending towards the sternum. And then the next one is the first ribs. There are 3 in numbers, and they usually attached to the ninth true ribs here. You can see this is the ninth true ribs, and this is the first ribs, and you can see that they're not touching the sternum directly. Then the last one is known as the floating ribs, this one here, and you can see that it doesn't have any ventral skeletal articulation like the other ribs that I've mentioned before.